Hello, people of Earth. This is the homie Pedro. I'm gonna talk to you about PTSD and street life, how that goes, those intertwine. So, a lot of people don't realize that they have PTSD when they're living that street life. Just got back from my psychiatrist. It was the first time I met him. My old psychiatrist retired. He said that I had PTSD just like the other one. So, I'll just basically give you a rundown of what happened and um, my credentials. So what I've done, obviously, without being, transparent. I always stop bragging and self snitching. So, all right. So when I was 5 years old, steal or starve, steal or starve. That was it. I had to steal my own food, my own clothes. So that's why I'm also big on being a good parent, so that my child doesn't have to both my sons don't have to deal with that. Um, so still a star. First time I was shot at, I was 13, and main thing was I would, you know, they call boosting nowadays, whatever. I would normalize it by I got to get something because I didn't want to feel like I was stealing something. I didn't want to feel like I was doing something bad, and I would only go to stores. I've done three burglaries allegedly, um, but when I was in someone's house, I felt like it was just wrong. Like I saw the pictures, everything. I'm in their living room, just didn't feel right. Um, until I passed by that liquor cabinet. You know what I mean? I am a recovering alcoholic, so you know can't pass by some cognac, some Cavassier, stuff like that. The good stuff that like I could never afford. I was like, yeah, buddy. But anyways, so I went 16 years without being caught. And then like I was telling my psychiatrist all this real down to earth about it. Um, had a family member stab me right here through my hand. My thumb was all dangling, it was nasty. Got shanked by the same family member right here, which ended up getting an infection, losing teeth right there. This I got slammed in the head by a cop. I well, I was I was cuffed and then slammed to the ground, stuff like that. And that was a curb hitting my head. I also have a knife wound in my back. I was looking for my brother, different brother. I was looking for him, and some dude was talking trash to me, some white dude, and so I'm talking to him. I didn't know he had a little Mexican buddy behind him. Dude just and I can talk to you. I'm half white, half Mexican, basically. So whatever. And little dude came up. I want to say it was a box cutter, but I don't know. It hurt either way. I mean, getting stabbed hurts, man. Um, I also got shot at, but it went like in my shirt, out my shirt, in my shirt, out my shirt. But thank gosh it didn't like it like nicked me. But I mean the first one I seen the dude raise up and it was nighttime and that the first one went past my head and I go like and I could hear the ricochets and then he shot like a good at least three times after that. And then when he nicked me, that yeah, I just laid. I played dead, man. I closed my eyes and I was just waiting for the end, and that didn't happen. Woke up and well, didn't wake up. I opened my eyes. He's running off. It was at a big party. So yeah, and then cops came and I climbed a barbed wire fence because it was at a warehouse where they were throwing the party at. Yeah, so got away from that. Let's see, I got attacked by a pit bull. Got like scars right here from like, yeah, they're hard to see because it was about 20 years ago. Yeah, I was 17, it's 20 years ago. And then I got scars on this my middle finger right here from when I tried to poke its eye out. Um, yeah, I mean it bit me. Let's see, check it out. It bit me right there. that's the canine. So bit me in my arm and then dragged me down. I was wearing all blue, and no, I'm not a gang member. It just matched. I had a nice suit. It was all blue. And this dude was a blood, and so he was a friend of the friend that I talked about in my previous video about how my friend almost sent me to prison. So, I'm talking to him about that, and then how I've had three friends unalive another friend that I had, or a friend or associate. One dude was a POS and kind of, yeah, you know. Um, but yeah, and I noticed with my other friends that were, about that street life, like the night terrors. The night terrors are like, it took me a while to get off night terrors. So that's why right now I'm prescribed Klonopin, and it's a benzodiazepine, and then I take propranolol. Even though it's for blood pressure stuff, it also helps tune down stuff. So I take that about 3 hours before going to sleep, and then Klonopin along with it, and then slowly tapering off of it, which takes years to do it right. Otherwise, you can get a seizure with Klonopin. But yeah, that PTSD is real. And he's funny. He's like, yeah, you normalize things. I was like, yeah, man. Like when I was growing up in New York in the '90s and stuff like that, like I knew prostitutes, and they'd be like, hey, the don't go over there. The cops are over there. You know what I mean? Like, and so I'd be like, oh, cool, thanks. Like, and they were always nice to me. It was nothing weird, but you witness stuff that no kid should witness, but it's just like it is what it is. I mean, yeah. I've hurt people before. Like I remember I used to be a bodyguard for a drug dealer and also his advisor, but that didn't really work out because he didn't take my advice when he decided to hold parties at his house. I'm like, that's not a good idea, man, because now people are scoping out your house. You have way too much people, and I'll never forget it, man. He lived up by the University of Utah, so he was used to like college kids and stuff like that, and potheads and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, that clientele is different. And then he decided to inquire with like the harder drugs, like meth, coke, crack, stuff like that. That Ready Rock, heroin, like these are. And I told him, I was like, this is different clientele, man. Especially you get someone that needs their heroin fix, that's coming down off heroin. Oh man. Or someone that is on that Ready Rock and that they want another rock, but they don't have the money, And he I'll never forget it, man. We stopped hanging around each other. Even though I was making good money doing that, I was also doing my own hustle, because I went from steal or starve to kleptomaniac. So at the time, on a good day, I was making about $3,000 because I had multiple sources of income. And by that time, when I was in high school, I already had a decade of experience. So I knew all the ins and outs, stuff like that. It's something I'm not going to really preach on YouTube. I'll just say it this way. People don't really look in cardboard boxes. So, yeah. Get a certain item, put in a cardboard box, didn't really have a car, which is good because didn't have any way really being followed. And then I'd take, public transportation around places, fill up more cardboard boxes, different clothes, switch up my clothing attire throughout the days or throughout the day. And this way, if I was being followed, I was constantly switching up what I looked like. So, but if you try that nowadays, you're gonna get caught because of all the dang, all the videotapes. Everybody got a camera on them, and a freaking beacon device that lets the cops know exactly where you're at. So while I'm explaining all this to him, he's like, "Yeah, you definitely have PTSD." I'm like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "So you never got into like the street pharmacist side?" I was like, "No, I did. I did. I got robbed. I got robbed." you know. Funny story about when I got robbed. I had a hustle to make a certain amount of money so I could make rent that day. Just life experiences happened. Ended up being broke. Then I was okay. So when I go by um, the homeless shelter, at the time it was called Rio Grande. They had but they had this Rio Grande thing out in Salt Lake, but it's not there anymore. And um, I just happened to be taking the front runner. I'm talking to this dude, and turns out he's got that Ready Rock on him, and I'm like, oh no way, because I got some other stuff on me, and I got money, and I was like, cool. And so I bought some from him, and I went to a different place where it sold for about 50% more, you know. So then I kept going back to him, back there. And there was this guy following me. I'll never forget it. There was this guy following me, and I thought the guy was gonna rob me. And he was always like a block away, half a block away. But when you have anxiety, you have PTSD, you've gone through these things. You're very in tune with what's going on around you. So that's all going on. You know what I mean? And so I'm going through all these things, and back and forth trips, back and forth trips. And this guy's like, dang, dude. I'm like, yeah, man, I need some more. I acted like I was just getting high the whole time. I wasn't. I was just trying to make rent. So, flipping, going back, flipping, going back, flipping. And it sucked because, no car. But it wasn't too far of a walk. And then I get a phone call, and it's from someone I went to high school with. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like I think I could, do that. But I go into the apartment complex, and when I enter the apartment he's in, there's nothing in there. It's just completely vacant. And he's shaking and he's jittery. And I'm like, this is not good. I knew right away something was up. I was like, this is not good. And but we do the deal, you know what I mean? And I get the money, and I'm like, cool. And then I wish him best, whatever. But he looked scared. Like he knew, like I could tell, I'm like, this dude's gonna try to rob me. I leave, and in that apartment complex, the apartment across from it was also vacant. And so when I left, some dude comes out with a mask on with that heat. And I wasn't carrying any heat on me because I knew I was going to be on foot. And I already had a robbery conviction, so can't carry anything on me unless it's a throwaway. And I was like, I'd rather get a possession charge or intent to distribute than, weapon by restricted. So, anyways, tall ass African dude robbed me. Yeah, I couldn't tell. I mean, this dude was probably like 6'10", 7 foot. He had a slouch down because I'm 6'4", and yeah, man. Yeah, having a sawn off to my head, and he's like, he tried to get me to another location, and I was like, nah, man. I was like, and I had to humanize myself. I just gave him the cash. I'm like, and I was like, I didn't see you. I was like, props, man. I honestly didn't see it. And then of course, my little buddy from high school comes running out, because he got the dope, and now that other dude got the money. And so I mean, I was honestly impressed. And that's why I told him, I was like, man, I'm impressed. I was like, that's the first time anyone's ever robbed me that wasn't my family member. But anyways, so when that happened, they took off because I told the African dude, and I know he was African. It wasn't just because he's like, get down, motherfucker. It wasn't that. It wasn't just his accent. It was the dead giveaway. He had no deodorant on. I don't know what it is with Africans and not wearing deodorant. This dude didn't have any deodorant. I could smell it. I was like, because he's taller than me too, so his armpit was all up. It was bad, man. But yeah, I told him, I was like, hey man, you're gonna have to shoot me in this hallway, and it's gonna echo, and then everyone's gonna come out and see what's going on, and you're gonna get busted, or you can just take off with the money. And he wanted to take my whole wallet, but I needed to humanize myself. I'm like, nah, man, I got my driver's license, my social security, and I don't want to go through all that mess. You got what you need, you know. And so yeah, he took off down that way. The apartments had two different exits. I go back down the other way, and the guy that was following me the whole day. Get this. Freeze, police. I was like, oh, hell no. And he's like, where's the money? Where's the drugs? I was like, dude, I ain't got no money. I ain't got no drugs. I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, but you were going, he's like, don't F with me. We seen you going around back and forth. And, oh man, I never been so happy to be robbed in my life. But yeah, I mean, it was an intense day, but yeah, I mean, they let me go. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any drugs. I just told them I was visiting my brother, and I was visiting family, you know? And so yeah, it was it was one of those like Twilight Zone type of deals where it's just truth is stranger than fiction. But yeah, man, it's the homie Pedro. Just wanted to talk a little bit about PTSD and how we normalize these things, and then it's hard to bring that into real life stuff, because I've noticed I've worked with people with PTSD, a lot of them, and man, my brother, a couple years ago, he worked with a cat. Dude just got out for attempted murder, and he got into an argument with a coworker, took the box cutter to the security guard, you know what I mean, after knocking out the coworker, and dude was on parole, went back to prison. I mean, and it's PTSD, you know what I mean? Dude was challenging him. He probably thought, he probably went back to what he was going through. So when you have this street life and the PTSD, the hardest thing is to not transfer it to your significant other or to your kids. So for me, with my kids, I tell them my stories as a warning, as like, this is like, and I'll be like, dang, dad was an idiot, huh? Like, I thought I can get away, because karma's real. Karma's real. Out of all this stuff, I had well over 100 grand worth of stuff. I mean, I can go stories and stories and stories, but I mean, I always thought 100 grand was gonna be my cutoff point. It wasn't. And when you're 15, 16, and you already have that amount of money and that amount of stuff, all I was doing was supplying the party, because I had all these insecurities. Oh, I'm not good enough. A lot of people that grow up that way, they'll have insecurities. They think very low of themselves. And yeah, so they'll and then they want to solve things the street way to try to prove that they're worth enough, by hurting somebody else, So it just really isn't worth it. And but yeah, just figure I'd get that off my chest and talk about that subject since it's fresh on my mind. I might do ketamine therapy. I don't know, man. I might do it. It's on the table, but I'll see how I am for right now. Right now, I'm just going to substance abuse classes that aren't court ordered, so I could actually say when I relapsed and not have anybody, snitch to my PO. So, yeah, that's about that. Anyways, y'all be safe. One love. Peace out. Stay safe. Do not allow post-traumatic stress to affect your job, your family, those you love. Identify your problems, man. Identify your problems. Work on them. And you're not going to get over it overnight. So, that being said, peace out.